Welcome back to the Texas Insider Fishing Report, and we are here along with our captains and guides to give some insight on how the state is recovering from Hurricane Harvey. And if a day of fishing is sounding like something in your future, well, then listen up to our guides and reports. But I just want to say, guys, it's been so heartwarming to see all the helping hands that have been out there, really just
Americans helping Americans, and that's what this country's been built on, Bree.
Exactly. And we just want to thank some of our guides that have also done a lot of help for the Hurricane Harvey cleanup. But we have a lot to get to tonight, and Dave Farrell at the CCA Workbench is going to help us get through our night. Dave, what's on the agenda?
Well, we're going to talk a little bit about tripletail fishing. You know, tripletail come into Texas, and there's going to be a lot of debris out there floating around, and tripletail like to be around debris. So it's a perfect fish to talk about now.
Yes, it is. And we're going to get started in the Middle Fresh region tonight with Stephen Johnson. Stephen, how is your region recovering, and how is the fishing looking for the weekend?
Well, everything's doing real good. We really got lucky on the east side of my region. My region is so huge. You know, I go from one side of the state all the way a long ways over towards El Paso. So really, if you could draw a line halfway down my region, the west side of the region, I mean, they had sunshine the whole time through all this crazy stuff. But hey, all of our roads are back open. We had a little gas issue, but all the gas is back up and going. So we really got lucky on ours. We got quite a bit of rain. The east side of the region, a lot of areas got 15, 18 inches, so it jumped up a lot of the lakes. But other than that, the fishing is great. And we're going to start out talking about some bass fishing over on Toledo Bend. Right now, the lake is about 1.5 foot higher over pool. So what that's got going on, you've got a lot of hay grass, a lot of the hydrilla and the bushes are flooded. So you've got a lot of frog fishing, throwing a swim jig, flipping in the bushes. It's almost kind of like fishing springtime. You know, with all the water falling, it's got some of the creeks muddy, so best thing to do is just stay either at the mouth of the creeks or out on the main lake ridges. But that shallow bite is been working real good with the frogs and swim jigs and that kind of action. Jumping over on Sam Rayburn right quick. Sam Rayburn is holding everybody. A lot of people are calling. The lake's jumped up about 5 feet from where it is. There's another lake below it, Dam B, that there's another river that dumps into it other than Angelina that comes out of Rayburn, and there's a lot of water coming down through it, and that goes down into the Beaumont area, so they're really trying to hold it to keep a lot of the bridges and roads dry down there. So the lake right now is about 3 foot above normal, but the water is crystal clear all over the lake, and anybody that's fished Sam Rayburn any amount of years knows when that water comes up, you know, those fish there are pure Floriders, and they run up in that hay grass and flooded bushes and everything. So, man, I've just had some great reports today, yesterday, over the weekend, and this coming weekend with the sunshine for us, it's looking like it's going to be great. You know, frogs, popping baits, a buzz bait's working real good. But there's a lot of floating hay grass and debris and stuff like that. So it's best to stay with the swim jig and frog stuff like that. And for your flipping guys, you know, to flip the hay grass and the bushes, and it's got the willow trees back in place. So really, when you show up over there, you can just go just like it's springtime and go catch some good bass. Over on the white bass, great reports. This is kind of the west part of the region, Cedar Creek. Great reports. White bass are good. Been catching them from 10 to 16 feet of water around the bridges and main lake points. They're using a slab spoon and minnows, and that's really going great with the moon going on. It seems like first couple hours at daylight, right in the middle of the day, and then again the hour before dark's working real good. Had a couple good reports come in at Lake Belton. White bass are great under the lights at night. Had a bunch of fish said being caught from like 7 o'clock, you know, right there at that last hour before dark, all the way up to 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. The guys are using a white hair jig, a white slab spoon, and minnows. And some of the guys were saying it's really hard to find some of those, you know, white slab spoons. Hey, if anything, run down to your local hardware store and get your can of paint and cover up your split ring and cover up your treble hook and just do a little shot of white on both sides. It just seems like at night that's really working good under the lights.
All right, Stephen. Well, I appreciate you, and more importantly, we're glad everybody's safe. And keep us updated as to what's going on. Make sure you can post anything you want on our Instagram, and we appreciate everything you do every week. All right, we're gonna go ahead and take a look at the Middle Fresh region hotspots. He said the white bass, a good action for the central part of the Middle Fresh region to the west side. The best time to fish has been in the middle of the day or under the lights at night. The best baits have been big slab spoon, white-haired jigs, and live minnows for those white bass, Bree.
All right, well, Bink Grimes in the Middle Coast region, I know from Facebook, got hit pretty bad. So Bink, we're so happy you and your family are safe, first of all, but tell us how the rest of your region is doing at this point and what they can expect if they want to head out on the water this weekend.
Yeah, we were blessed. We took 50, 60 mile an hour winds, but the river flooding is really what hurt our region more than anything. Port Lavaca to Port O'Connor took the brunt of the damage in the Middle Coast, but right next to it, Rockport and Port Aransas, which we consider the coastal bend, had the eye wall come over it, and Rockport was in pretty bad shape, and it still hadn't got electricity yet. So we're hoping that happened. They're saying some saying by the end of the week, so that's a good thing. We've had an overpouring outpour of just a lot of out-of-towners and outer-staters wanted to help us, and we want to say thank you to them. Texas we're changing attitudes and opinions about the current state of America that's so often wrongly displayed by the mainstream media. I mean, to put it bluntly, we're a little different here. Instead of spewing hate and everything wrong with what our political views, the media has been forced to show Americans helping their fellow man, and that's just Texas, and that's America. So that's something we need to be proud of. Where else would a flotilla of small aluminum boats head out in the middle of the night in harm's way and save thousands and thousands of people? Because I mean, if the public hadn't responded to this the way it did, there would be lots and lots of more casualties, and so we can. It was really, really good. We've dealt with Hurricane Harvey, and the question that I always get when the tropical cyclone or hurricane comes through is how will it affect fishing? And I'm here to tell you, hurricanes do nothing but help fishing. We're going through. A lot of people think that our rivers are 800-year floods is what they're calling. They're calling it. And I mean, it's something that we just cannot believe how high the water's been. But I'm telling you, it's not hurting the fishing. People think the whole bays are blown out with fresh water in the Middle Coast. That is not the case. My guide boat, since the storm, I've had 5 guide boats go out, and we've limited on trout every day that we've gone out. It's been good, and I want to pass that along because a lot of people. All you can see on the TV is flood and water. All that water is drained off. Yes, we got to have a lot of fresh water in the bay, but it's not affecting our fishing. If anything, it's concentrating fish and making it easier. So, just want to put that out there. We're treating the high tides that we have like spring fishing, and a lot of fish are tight to the shorelines. And spots in Matagorda like Pipeline and Cullen House, Maverick Bayou, and West Matagorda Bay. And then Port O'Connor, Guy Lynn Smith went right out after the storm and worked the back lakes and caught fish on small topwaters like sheep pumps and super spooks. And he liked fishing those outgoing tides. Tides started to fall. He was sitting right there at the mouths of those bayous and popped them. Just yesterday, I went out. We released 4 fish over 6 pounds on topwaters, 4 trout on 6. And, in the middle of East Bay, and nobody around us because they think the fishing is not good. I'm here to tell you, it's great. There's a photo there at Chet Tolosik and we got in the surf right after the storm, and man, just hit them hard on top water. So don't be afraid to fish. It is good here. And we'll go to redfish. If there's one species that reaps the benefits of a storm surge, it's the redfish, especially this time of year when tides are normally low and hot. We get these fresh recruits, and we got a big. We got 3 to 4 foot of tide surge, and it filled up the backwaters and the sloughs. And we work in Oyster Lake and Crab Lake and the North Shoreline of West Matagorda Bay, and then Cutoff Flats and Zipper and Bayou and Forked Bayou. And then in East Bay, where those big trouts are hanging tight to the shoreline, Boiler Bow, Burkhart Cove, St. Mary's Bow, and Hog Island are holding big redfish. There were some big old bulls in the middle of the bay that we caught while trout fishing the other day. Then the back lakes in Port O'Connor, Pringle, Contee, Panther, Shoalwater, Fifth Lake. September in Texas, the surf is full of bull redfish, and they love it even when it's rough. They like it a whole lot more when it's rough because they spawn and those eggs can disperse in that in the surf and in the waves. So don't be afraid. Even when it's rough, throw you a big chunk of meat out there and get ready because there's a lot of ocean spawners out there. Most of them are using large table shrimp, pogies, finger mullet, and cracked blue crabs. Last year this time I watched 2 acres of big redfish come to the top of the jetty and just gulp everything. If you threw a topwater out there, you probably wasn't getting it back because they were big 40 inchers and just herds and herds of them. So that could happen this month as well. So, hey, we're here. We're doing good. There's a lot of fish. Don't be afraid. Texas is still alive.
All right, thank you so much, Bink. Great report. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Middle Coast hotspots. Inshore trout are good in the back lakes of Port O'Connor on small skitter walks, super spook juniors, and sheep pups. You want to fish around the grass. And the waders have also caught good fish on the down south lures, bass assassins, and little johns. What do you think about that, Bree?
I think that sounds good. A little weekend of fishing and
awesome.
take your mind off stuff. Not so bad. All right, we've got your lower fresh region coming up next, but not before we see what Dave is talking about over at the CCA Workbench for rigs and techniques. Are you teaching us some cool techniques today?
Yep, we're going to talk about West Matagorda Bay and some tripletail.
Perfect.
You guys get out there, we can go catch them.
That's
Little
right.
tripletails,
Ought to be
get out
plenty of
there.
debris to find
That's
around
right.
Debris. We'll be right back. Hey, my name's Bree.
there. Hey, debris.
Debris.
The Texas Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Yamaha. Reliability starts here. The American Fishing Tackle Company. Precision tackle and performance clothing since 1958. Guy Harvey, marine wildlife artist and conservationist. Navionics. We start where the road ends. CCA Texas, a leader in marine conservation. And Okuma, inspired fishing.
Meet the water's lightest 25 horsepower four-stroke, the all-new Yamaha F25, the new standard and 25 horsepower portable four-strokes. At just 126 pounds, it's got the best power-to-weight ratio of any 25 horsepower four-stroke on the water. With performance that bests the previous Yamaha F25 and features like Yamaha's VTS for precise trolling speeds, batteryless EFI, built-in resting pads, and carry handles, it's the perfect portable power for small boats.
Remember the glory days of gasoline? It's just not made the same anymore.
Kick your gas into gear with StarTron. Pump up the performance in all of your engines. Cure the problems of ethanol with the power of enzymes. And maximize your mileage every time you drive. Kickstart your engines with StarTron.
Remember to follow our guides and be up to date on all things fishing in Texas. Make sure to head over to TexasInsiderFishingReport.com. You can catch all of our shows on our YouTube channel as well. Remember to like us on Facebook at Texas Insider Fishing Report and follow us on Instagram at TipperTV. Also, don't forget to send and tag us in your fish-tastic photos and videos. But now it's time for rigs and techniques.
Well, every week we talk about rigs and techniques
Yep.
here at the CCA workbench, and Dave, tonight is no different.
No, we're talking about triple tail tonight, and a lot of guys, are unfamiliar with the triple tail. A triple tail is like a giant black crappie.
Right.
They get to be about 40 pounds. That's a huge one. I think the Texas world record is something like 33.8 pounds, though. 33 pounds, 8 ounces. It's a big fish. It's a big crappie, and they're delicious.
Yeah, big 2 weeks ago was a 25-pounder you were talking about.
Yeah, well, they're really, really good to eat. And why they're called triple tails is they have their top lobe of their dorsal fin and their bottom caudal fin comes all the way to their tail, and it makes it look like he has three tails. But he doesn't. And what they do, what makes them so cool is the way that they feed. These fish are always around a piece of structure, even when they're little babies. When they're little babies, they're orange and black, just like sargassum. And they float next to sargassum upside down or on their side, and they just lay in the water until a little shrimp or a little crab comes up to get in their shade, and they pounce on it and eat it. So they're very ferocious. Usually if you see them, you can usually get a bite out of them, but sometimes they're not. Sometimes you got to get a little tricky with them. And the best thing to do is kind of like, they're very curious too. They're kind of like a cobia in that respect, is like they like to hang around big things. But not only that, when a boat pulls up to a mat of sargassum, a lot of times you'll see the triple tail coming out of the sargassum up to the boat. Right. And if you have a long-handled dip net, you can get a big triple tail sometimes that way. Yeah, you got to be quick. But sometimes if they're not paying attention, you can net them. I've had friends net them a few times. The biggest triple tail I ever caught, I was coming in from an offshore trip, and we came up found a big mat of sargassum about 15 miles offshore, and said, oh, let's check this out before we keep on heading in. And as I got up close to the mat, you could see this giant shape. It looked kind of like a Nassau grouper, that color. And he went down, and I was going, oh my gosh, there's a big grouper under here. So I tossed a whole ballyhoo that I'd been trolling, and that sucker turned over and followed it down to the bottom, and I felt him pick it up, and I thought, oh, I got a grouper on. No, it was about a 15-pound triple tail that ate a whole ballyhoo, which is, kind of unusual. When we target them, generally speaking, we try to use smaller baits, like that little shrimp imitation. That's a little gulp shrimp. That's a great little bait to throw at a triple tail. We'll go up and down a weed line looking for them, and if we see a piece of debris in the water, a bucket, anything that we see, we're always looking to see if there's a triple tail on it, and we always have a light spinning rod like this one, available with a 7-foot rod that we can throw to it and try to catch the triple tail. Now, one thing you'd think, you're using a little bait, you're trying to get these fish to eat little things, because they eat a lot of little stuff, but you got to use a fairly good sized leader.
Yeah, they got some pretty rough lips.
Well, not lips. His whole body is a buzzsaw. When you go to clean a triple tail, you will find thorn. He's got little spurs and stuff all over him, and his
gill rakers.
His gill rakers are incredibly sharp. He's got, so you got to be careful when you're handling them. I mean, seriously, they can cut you to pieces. You got to be careful with them.
Yeah, the other thing that comes to mind too, Dave, is I noticed that you got a lot of this stuff is weighted with a jig head.
Right. Did you want to make?
I do it also.
Without it?
Weedless.
Oh, of course. But what I have the jig heads for is a lot of times if you spook them and they run back under their stuff, it's hard to get them to bite. So a lot of times I like to make long casts to them. And especially if they're, let's say, on a wreck in real shallow water or something, if you get right up on top of the wreck or right up on top of the buoy or the crab trap that they're hiding under, it's going to be harder to get them to bite. So I like to be a little, have a weight on my offering, sometimes even a bobber with a live shrimp under it is, it's hard to beat it. You throw a nice, and get you a select fat shrimp kind of one that you throw to a tarpon.
Right.
He's a beautiful shrimp for a triple tail. And if you find a nice wreck in shallow water in 20 feet of water, sometimes up along the beaches or in a bay somewhere, it looks like there's nothing on that, and you throw that shrimp on top of that structure, and anything that has a shadow can have a triple tail, because that's how they live. That's how they make their living. They're the shadow. They make their own shadow. They'll get into the shadow and be their own shadow and try to be a big leaf or a black plastic, but they look like a black plastic bag a lot of times. I've come up on, let's get that black plastic bag out of the water. Oh, Nope, that was a fish.
Tripletail.
Yeah, because you can
Only
see him
the-
from a long way away.
Only the shadow knows.
Yeah, he does know.
Dave,
it.
I know
love
someone
your-
else that knows. Bree does.
I love Dave's plastic bag impression. It was really good of you. All right, the Yeti Lower Fresh region is up next, and Matt Reed is here to give you your weekend report. How you doing, Matt?
I'm good, Bree. How are you?
We're okay. We're okay.
We're okay.
We're
Yeah,
okay.
you're getting ready to duck, kind of like we did. It looks like.
Yeah, spinning wheels over here, but we're good. We're good.
That's good, y'all. Just keep your heads up.
Yeah.
You know, speaking of that, Hurricane Harvey. My region is so big. The lower region. There's areas of the state that got no effect from the hurricane, Lake Falcon, Lake Amistad. You know, they really didn't receive any rainfall. Didn't change anything at all down there. But as you move up the coast, going further east, I mean, there's a lot of places that are just totally devastated. So, you know, the state of Texas is so big, and that lower region is so big. If you have the urge to fish, there's still water that was totally unaffected. Lake Falcon is fishing really well, and Amistad's fishing really well. With some of the other areas, man, it's going to be a struggle for a little while. Let's kick this off talking about the largemouth bass on Lake Falcon. They're biting really well right now. It's basically awesome. You can throw a big crankbait at them, Z-Boss 20 crankbait, and Moon Glow or School Bus. Those are chartreuse patterns on the lower end of the lake on the rock structure. There's also a great Carolina rig bite going on down there right now on that lower end. Also got a report from Falcon Lake Tackle that the north end of the lake, the flipping bite's really good on the hardwoods in 4 or 5 foot of water, flipping soft plastics to them. So there's a couple of ways there you can catch them on Falcon. It's just a great fishery. Let's move on up a little bit to Lake Amistad. And the bass are still related to the hydrilla. Early in the morning, the top water bite's still good. As the sun gets up, that lightweight Texas rig 10-inch worm is working really well on the outside edges of the hydrilla. If it gets really bright and calm, is one of my favorite ways to fish is take an ounce or ounce and a quarter weight on braided line and punch a heavy weighted soft plastic right through the thick hydrilla mats. They get under there. It's just a canopy for them. They have full cover, food, shade, oxygen, everything they want is under that hydrilla. It's just a whole ecosystem in itself. So punch through the thickest stuff you can find, and there is a ton of fish that live under that kind of stuff. And that's kind of what's going on the two border lakes, the lakes that were totally unaffected. Fishing's great down there. Give me a call and we'll get after them. But speaking of the other lakes in my region, most of the lakes received anywhere from 5 to 30 inches of rain. So some of them are really high. I'm just going to kind of give you an in general report what I would do with those lakes. The water, when that water rises, it gets up and it inundates green cover. Now those bass they'll tend to follow that rising water up in that new cover because there's all kind of insects and stuff up there. The bluegill will move up shallow to feed on that, and in turn the fish will follow. The bass will follow them. So there's 3 ways that I like to target those fish. One of the most fun ways is on the top water. You can throw a frog up in that heavy cover and get some explosive strikes and catch them that way. You can also throw a spinnerbait in that cover and get them to chase. If they're not in the chasing mode and they're buried more in the thick stuff, get your braided line and flipping stick out and flip you some soft plastic right in the middle of that cover. That's kind of what you're going to find on these lakes with this rising water right now. Then it's gaining on fall, so those fish are going to want to go shallow anyway a little bit. So don't be scared of the lakes that have come up high. Get in there, get up in that cover, and get after those bass. So
that's some really good advice, Matt. Tell me about this photo.
A customer of mine, Lyle, caught that fish the other day at Falcon. Caught him on a big crankbait, and I always love to see those big old smiles.
Tell me about the catfishing, boss.
All right, catfish on Lake Amistad are still biting good. You got channel cat around the outside edges of the hydrilla up there in that 10, 12-foot range on punch bait. The blue cat are much deeper. They're on the rock ledges. in 80 to 120 foot of water out on the main river. To improve your odds in either one of those areas, sour grain is really important to get those fish congregating and biting.
All right, well, thank you so much. Tell me about this photo, and then we're gonna take a look at the hot spots.
That photo was just a cooler full of great Amistad catfish. You know, I love to see kids smiling over a big batch of fish.
Me too. All right, thanks for keeping us straight on the Yeti Lower Fresh region, Matt. We're gonna go ahead and take a look at those hot spots. Our guide, Matt Reed, says Lake Falcon bass are biting well on crankbaits in 12 to 20 feet of water on the main lake rocks and ledges, and then Lake Amistad catfish are doing great. The channel cats are biting around the hydrilla edges on punch baits, and then the blue cats are deep on the rock ledges in 80 to 120 feet of water. You want to make sure you bait the areas with that sour grain to maximize your spot there, Bree.
Okay, Rick, coming right up in the Texas Insider Fishing Report, we're checking in with the Upper Coast and Upper Fresh regions, so stay tuned and we'll help you get that weekend bite. We'll be right back.
The Texas Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Contender Boats, performance through innovation. Bass Assassin and Saltwater Assassin, the best lures, period. CCA Star, fishing fun for giant prizes and scholarships. Costa Sunglasses, see what's out there. Power Pole, swift, silent, secure. And King Sailfish Mounts, www.kingsailfish.com.
At Yamaha, reliability is a family tradition. Meet the next generation. 4 new advanced technology-inspired inline 4-cylinder performers. Bred from the reliability and boater satisfaction that is part of Yamaha's DNA. They prove that when power gets lighter, faster, stronger, and smarter, boating gets even better. And more satisfying for boaters like you.
Hey, how do you like your contender? How do I like my contender? What's not to like? Dude, I just saw a contender, and man, I gotta get me one.
As close as you're gonna get to a sure thing for catching billfish is Guatemala.
They're here, man. This has been a 20-year run, buddy. These things haven't left, there's no cycle.
When it comes to sail fishing, this is the real deal.
The amount of sailfish here is ridiculous.
So guys, not only is the Fire Disc a steamer, a sauteer, and a great griller, but it's also a fryer. So I've got some grouper here that I'm gonna run through an egg white dip. And we're gonna simply, everything for me is about the cleanup, make it easy. Progressive Italian breadcrumbs, a little complete seasoning, and we're gonna drop those fingers in there. So the egg wash, get at your store, and shake it up and right into the fryer. I've been preheating the oil for probably about 10 minutes, which works perfectly. You actually want to leave a little of the oil residue in there, so for the next time, you know, it seasons, what we call seasons the pan. It keeps the pan from getting any rust or anything like that on it. It's certainly the way to treat it, like an old iron skillet. Take a second, flip them over. working well. Everything's going good here. I like it. I wasn't paying attention. I let that one get a little overdone. My bad. But guess what? If that doesn't show you how hot the grease gets, nothing will. So to top this off, we got our fried fish. I like some fresh cut mangoes to go on top of the fish. To go with it, I like sliced tomato with some mozzarella, as well as a little garlic salt and some glaze. Oh my God. I mean, are you kidding me? Oh, we just can't get any better.
Rick.
There it is. Progressive. You saw that? Progressive. Progressive. You know why they call them? I call them progressive.
Why?
Because I take Progresso Italian breadcrumbs and then I add about 10 other things to it, and then it becomes very progressive for me.
Ensure it's going to be a good meal.
Yeah. Exactly.
Exactamundo.
You know me so well.
I do.
That's the wrong sure.
The Upper Coast region is another area that was hit very hard, and I know our captain Caleb Harp was out there helping as many people as he could get to. So Caleb, give us a little overview on how everyone's doing in your region.
Hey, we're all holding in there right now. It's pretty crazy, but
yeah,
it's all good now. But, well, obviously we took a pretty big hit with Hurricane Harvey's flooding last week. And, we saw record rainfall over the whole upper Texas coast with up to 57 inches in some areas. Over 16 trillion gallons of fresh water came down, and that consequently inundated the entire upper coast. Right now, every body of water pretty much from Christmas Bay to Sabine Lake in my region is 100% fresh right now, and the salinity readings are about 0 parts per thousand. So it's pretty fresh out there. Luckily, though, most of those boat ramps, marinas, and bait shops made it through the storm since it was less of a wind and storm surge event up here and more of a flooding event. The fishing isn't going to be great for a while, but it'll come back quicker than most would think. And this might be the biggest flood we've ever experienced here, but this isn't our first rodeo. And in fact, we've dealt with major flooding in 2015 and 2016 as well. Here's some examples pretty much of places to start looking when everything starts to settle down and we can actually start looking for some fish. Tropical Storm Allison in 2001 was the closest thing that we had to this event, and the fishing bounced back fairly quick afterwards in the West Galveston Bay area. Basically, it stacked all the fish from the Galveston Bay complex into West Bay, and the fishing was really good. After the flood and the following freeze of 1989, which was probably the biggest detrimental event we've ever had to our fishery, when literally all of the fish were killed out, the fishing turned on first in Sabine Pass and the south end of Sabine Lake. The bottom end of Sabine Lake is very deep, and a lot of those fish found good water down there to hide in, and they weathered out the conditions. And I'm pretty sure those fish are probably doing the same thing down there as well. And those fish are going to be, but here's the deal. When we get back to going and this fish start coming back, all these fish are going to be hugging the bottom. So you're going to have to slow everything down, work those lures real slow. They're going to be on the very bottom trying to find as most salinity as they can. And we've experienced that with the flooding the last 2 years as well. But, it's not the end of the world, guys. We'll make a pretty strong comeback whenever this water does get out here eventually. And depending on the heat, which will evaporate a lot of that surface water, and the tidal movement, mixing the salt water back in, we could come back pretty soon. And I think you got the Navionics rig for the jetties.
Yep, good job there, Caleb. You're absolutely right. So we're talking about the Houston Ship Channel and Trinity Bay, and you can see, guys, how we have all of these areas that are going to flood. So what it's going to do is it's going to take that salinity level that the fish generally like, and it's going to run it out here to where the Gulf meets. So you have obviously a pinch point that's coming through the channel and the inlet going out the Galveston Inlet. Now, the thing that I understand is at the cut here, what's happening is all this fresh water, brown fresh water, is going out the cut and turning down to the beach to the north. And talking to Caleb and some of the other captains from the area, out off of the end of the north jetty, what's happening is there's lots of big bull redfish stacking in there, and it seems to have some pretty good water quality. So if you are thinking about trying to get out of all the mess and cleanup and you just need a day for yourself, guys, check out the end of the jetty. You're probably going to have good water quality and find lots of fish there. What do you think, Caleb? You there, Caleb?
Yeah, I'm here. That's exactly right. But hey, on a lighter note, the offshore fishing won't be affected that bad. The red snapper fishing is going to remain good, just like it's been all year. Basically, any hard spot, artificial or natural reef, 20 to 40 miles out, was still going to be good. And most success on lures has still been on the snapper slappers, but anything dead or live will work as well. The main thing you're going to have to watch out for is the floating debris in the water. Being that this flood was so bad, there's going to be a whole lot of trash coming out of these passes and out of these rivers. I've talked to several people who tried to tarpon fish this week, and they said the fresh water is already out to about 5 miles into the Gulf in some areas. So there's going to be a lot of trash out there, so just be careful running around. Make sure not to whack a tree or a telephone pole, because there's going to be some stuff out there. And also, being that there's going to be so much trash coming out of those rivers and passes, we should get some really good debris piles floating around and a lot of trash lines. Even though they're not too pleasant to look at, a lot of those fish are going to like to get underneath them for shade. The dolphin bite should be good anywhere from 15 miles out and beyond, skipping ballyhoo like we do on weed lines. But also keep your eye out for tripletail and cobia doing the same thing.
All right, Caleb, that's all you got for me?
That's it, man.
Well, we appreciate everything you did, and we know you were riding around doing everything you could to save people, and I know the people in your neighborhood as well as the surrounding areas appreciate you very much. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at the CCA Upper Coast hotspots. Captain Caleb says that inshore, all of the inshore bays in the Upper Coast are fresh right now from the flooding, but when some of the fresh water slows down, you want to look towards West Galveston Bay and the lower channel of Sabine Pass. In prior flood years, these areas have always come back first, and then offshore snappers. On most of the hard spots in 20 to 40 miles out, snapper slappers and any kind of live or dead bait will get that job done. Be careful when you're running offshore not to hit any debris coming out of the passes from the flood, Bree.
Who debris?
Who? You debris.
I am debris.
I know you is.
Now we're going to talk to Rick Carter in the Upper Fresh region to see where the bite will be, but also how his region took to Harvey's hit. Hey, Stephen.
That's Rick.
Rick. Sorry. Hi, Rick. Woo!
Hey, guys. Glad to be here. The Upper Fresh region was not really affected bad by the storms. All the businesses around Fork are open, doing business as usual. Me and my guys did grab our duck boats and head south and help out all we could, but everything's good at Lake Fork and the Upper Fresh regions. I'm going to move on to our report here. Lake Texoma, the stripers are doing good. The Striper Express guides are catching medium-sized stripers, 3 to 5 pounders, surfacing each morning here lately. Pop-Rs and skitterwalks are good baits right now on those fish surfacing. The 4-inch swim baits by Storm and the coho soft shad are catching them. The white bass are mixed in with these stripers right now, up to 3 pounds on the same topwater baits. The Express guys are saying the bigger fish are in the flats right now, 15-foot casting slabs out and frog hopping them back to the boat, catching big stripers up there at Texoma. Moving on to Possum Kingdom. Possum Kingdom's about 6 inches below full pool. The largemouth are on the boat dock pattern. They're putting drop shots, light shaky heads around the boathouses. The drop shot used a little 4.5-inch little tapper worm by Bass Assassin in the Houdini color, watermelon red color, are working good. Finesse jigs are working around mid-lake, around the timber on Possum Kingdom. And also the River to Sea Rover Spook in Pearl was catching some nice largemouth. Lake of the Pines, they have good fish biting deep on pines. Carolina rig flukes are catching them. Carolina rig flukes and worms, also finesse worms. 300 DD crankbaits and shad patterns are catching them on pines. And also the Black Angel shaky head in about 14 foot in the mouth of the major creeks. And that was Chris Brazier reporting on pines. At Lake Fork, where the lake is full, we're catching them 3 to 10 foot blue fleck worms on a Texas rig and shaky heads also with the blue fleck and June bug. The late evening bite has been the best fishing on Fork lately. We're starting to get them around the pads and the shallow grass, setting up for the the fall frog bite is also going to be great on fork.
So what else you got for me? You got a photo here, bud?
That photo was pro guide Chris Carey on Texoma. One of his clients had a big striper there, Rick.
Man, that is a big striper. One. Looks like it was blowing a little bit that day, overcast. Is that good conditions to catching those stripers, Rick?
That's good. They'll keep surfacing on up to about 10 a.m. when you have that overcast and a good chop like that.
All right, why don't you tell me a little bit about the crappie?
Hey, guide Terry Moon on fork is still catching those big limits of crappie. The man-made brush piles are the key right now. Also, she's moving to live minnows, tipping some of her jigs with live minnows, but a lot of live bait catching them right now. The Lake Fork LFT baby shad, chartreuse blue, chartreuse white are the best colors. And some of the bridges, the 515 West is holding a lot of crappie for Terry right now.
Tell me about the photo of Terry here, bud.
That is famous guide Terry Moon right there. She is the crappie lady on Lake Fork, buddy.
Hey, we met Terry when we were up there, didn't we, Rick?
Yes, we did. She's a sweetheart, and she knows her stuff.
She knows her crappie.
I like her. I like her already. She's got red hair. I like red hair.
Bet you do. Fiery redhead.
Thank you so much, Rick. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Upper Fresh region hotspots. Lake Texoma, stripers are hitting top waters on the points early. Morning skitter walks and big chuggers are your best choice in Possum Kingdom. The bass are on the boat dock patterns. Drop shots and shaky heads are catching some nice largemouth.
Yes, she was a very nice lady up there, Miss Terry. Yes, and she's got an awesome boat. She's taking people to get crappie all the time. She's great. Girl power. The Lower Coast region is in the spotlight next, and then we're seeing what cool new products Dave has for us at the CCA workbench. Dave.
Are you ready? Look at that. Look at that.
Whoa.
Look how nice that is.
That is nice.
That's so nice.
Very nice. Look at all those beautiful things.
I can see the light. I can see it. We'll be right back.
It's like a disco in
The
here.
Texas Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Maverick Boat Group, makers of premium boat brands Maverick, Hughes, and Pathfinder. Rapala. Catch the latest at rapala.com. Yeti, built for the wild. Building Conservation Trust, CCA's National Habitat Program. StarTron, cures and prevents ethanol fuel problems. And Casa Vieja Lodge, 5-star angling in beautiful Guatemala.
The ultimate predator has evolved again. Now, Yamaha VMAX SHO Performance is prowling the waters in 4 hungry, exciting new models. With their 4 valves per cylinder and double overhead cam fuel-injected design, these advanced 4-stroke predators are taking performance to a whole new level. Vicious, lean, efficient. VMAX SHO. The pack is growing.
Thanks for tuning in to the Texas Insider Fishing Report. Be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter and Instagram to keep up with our captains, contests, and appearances. You never have to miss a show. You can find full episodes as well as special segments right on our homepage. Just head to TexasInsiderFishingReport.com for everything you need to know to stay hooked up.
Last week's Power Pole Tip of the Week, we talked about the Micro's battery pack. Now this week, we want to continue to customize our Micro. Now when you purchase a Micro from Power Pole, it comes with an 8.5-foot pole. So that sometimes can be too long. And so if that's the case, then we want to cut it down. It's really simple on making this happen. Get a hacksaw, pick the length that you want, and cut it down to the length that you desire. Now, what's really important here is after you've made that cut, then we want to simply make a point. And the reason why it's important to make this point is because the calibrating wheels inside the Micro will understand where it gets to the tip, and it'll know the length of the shaft that you've decided to use. The other thing that has to happen is by sanding this or using a file making the point, then it's certainly going to help grab in rocky or sandy conditions. Now the micro also comes with a thread on the end. You can purchase a flag with a light on it. And the reason why this accessory is important is for you low john boats or little technical poling skiffs out in Louisiana, around Lake Okeechobee, where you have high grass, it's hard for us to sometimes see those smaller boats. And this is very helpful as you go through your path so that we don't have any issues whatsoever. Now next week, we're gonna actually talk about the power pole anchor comparison. So make sure you tune in for that one. You know, Dave, here at the CCA Workbench, we talk about new products. We got a lot of cool sponsors like Power Pole and
I could use one of those little flags on my little.
But we also have, you don't have to get to it yet, but I can't wait till you tell everybody about the Sea Sucker.
Well, we're going to start off with the Mega Bass Pop Max. That's the Pop Max. And this is it was hand carved design, and then they make the lures after the hand carved design from Yuki Ito. It's a Japanese fella. He makes lures. And what's really cool about this lure is in the mouth, he's got little inlets for the water to come in.
Right.
And when you pop that thing, the water goes through his mouth and comes flying out his gills and out the bottom. And it, puts a big bubble trail.
I got it to
exactly.
Perfect.
And when he fills up, he's got a chamber in there, and it fills up with water, so he'll sit down in the water, and then as you chug it, and it'll stop, and it'll slowly rise back up as it empties. So he'll be poking his little head out, and it's just a really nice lure. It's got a very realistic look to it. A high fat body makes it float high in the water, and a unique sound profile to say the least, with all those gill things working. I
think it's really cool.
Comes from 3 1/4 inches, ½ ounce, and it's good. Mega Bass USA. Go check out that Mega Bass Pop Max.
Yes, sir. What's next?
Well, that's in your hand there. We got an R&R tackle. That's their new heavy-duty outrigger, downrigger clip. And, when you're pulling big baits or even dredges for your teasers or just regular fishing lures, you want to have something that you can adjust and it can hold a heavy weight if you're using a big marlin lure, or if you're, pulling teasers from your halyards. A lot of times you'll run your teasers through a halyard as well. This is his new heavy-duty outrigger clip, and it's fully adjustable right here with a little adjustment. And if you notice, it's got really good components. Beefy stuff.
Right.
Ray Rocher, is an excellent captain.
Yeah, he knows about offshore.
He doesn't do anything half.
Yeah. From catching bait to
everything, and making his own tackle now. And R&R, he's been making a lot of different stuff, but now he's making these great outrigger clips. He's also I'm gonna show you some kite clips later on.
Good job, Ray.
Very good from R&R. Nice. All right, also now we've got this Storm, the little dudes right here. These are Storm's live kicking shad and the kicking minnow. This is the minnow, and you got 2 shads right there, but that's the minnow, the little minnow right there.
Thank you.
Yeah, and they come from 3 inches to 4 inches, 7/16 ounce, 1/4 1/2, segmented body. So that really kicks the tail. They look real. If you throw at one of those, the Tripletail we were talking about, that little one, he's going to eat it. Everything would, eat that. A bass is going to eat it. A trout is going to eat it. Just about anything. Really, holographic eyes. Really nice stuff. All right, let's do the Sea Sucker next.
All right, so Dave, a couple weeks ago, we had the Sea Sucker on to where you could take your paddleboard, your canoe, your kayak, and put it on the roof of your truck without having to drill any holes. And so Sea Sucker, with those same Sea Suckers, created so we could take our paddleboard or our canoe or our kayak and actually use the rod holders on the gunnels of our bay boats.
They mounted the Sea Suckers onto a rod. Kinda.
Absolutely. So these can go on the side of the boat. But more importantly, they also had this table that they created, and it's a cutting board table which this Sea Sucker goes underneath.
Right.
And now you can put this on your rocket launcher and use this as a cutting board. It comes with 2 pieces.
A removable
plexiglass. So if you're making it as a cutting board or filleting a fish on this, then you can make cleanup pretty easy. Now, when it gets dark, or maybe you decide you want to go sandbarring with Mama. Now you can take the same fillet table and turn it into a cocktail
bar.
table or a bar, or serving you a little bit of food. Even got this handle so you and I can take it off of the sea sucker, put it somewhere on the back of the boat, or maybe up on the front of the boat. It's all lit up. Puts everything in the right mood, hopefully, and that means we got to go to another region.
It's the mood lighting.
It's all about
puts
the
me in the
lights.
mood, baby.
You can put your progressive meal on top of that, Rick.
There you go.
Oh, man. Let's hear from Captain. I just got thrown something at me. Captain Chad Kinney in the Lower Coast region to see how the fishing has shaped up since the storm. Y'all okay down there, Chad?
Yeah, everything's good. Give you a good report here, guys, from the Lower Coast. Starting up at my northern end here as far as reports on marinas and everything else here that's going on. Rockport, Port Aransas Pass, that got hit the hardest by the eye and the wind. A lot of stuff's damaged up there. So right now, if you're thinking about heading that way, I'd say avoid it from there. There's a lot of debris, a lot of cleanup going on and stuff like that. But fortunately, Corpus, which is right there just to the south, wasn't damaged nearly as bad. So there's launching is not going to be such as an issue. We talked to Doug Stanford, who's up in that area, and he told me he checked around, and Billings Bait is open. They got a ramp open there. Clem's Bait is also open. They got a ramp. They've also got live bait available. Bob Hall Pier, Red Dot Pier, they're both open there in North Padre. So all that's there. And when you head farther south towards Baffin Bay, you're good. Where I'm here, where I live at Port Mansfield, we're good. We weren't affected by it. And, of course, South Padre Island, Royal City, all that area, everything's open and going. So that's the nickel version of it real quick as far as where to go. Switching to the fishing, which is a good area. The trout fishing, it's been good. It's been real consistent, still holding that 3 to 5 foot of water near the grass beds and sand pockets, all the way from South Padre Island, north of Mansfield here to the land cut. They're holding real tight still in that deeper pattern there. And the redfish are showing up on the flats around the saucer here and south of Green Island out over Royal City. So on those redfish, go ahead and look around the flats here in Saucer, which is south of Mansfield, all the way to Green Island. A lot of these redfish are going to be in the slot size, 20 to 28-inch fish. They'll be in that water early in the morning. They're going to be up shallower, and they're going to move their way out deeper. So try weedless gold spoon with a quick retrieve. That's always the predominant lure there. Go with that first. You can always switch to some paddle tails and go on to after that. And then there's also been some big bull reds. I've been catching some buddies have along the ITW and the East Cut also heading towards the Gulf there. Best thing on those big bull reds, they've been hitting, really good on live piggies, croaker or some cut mullets, live finger mullet. And also, just a quick note here out of Port Mansfield, guys, there's a fishing vessel, about a 192-foot dive boat that got stuck in the channel there. Ooh. Some tugs just showed up, and they're pulling them out. We got a narrow channel to get in and out, so if y'all are planning to go to the jetties, just make sure you give these guys plenty of room in order to get that boat out and before we start fishing it real heavy. We got a good picture of a redfish here. Got a nice bull redfish. Had a husband and wife out there, and she caught about a 40-pound red there. It's one of the biggest reds she's ever seen.
Man, that's a nice fish. Man, I hope I catch one of those with you soon, bud. All right,
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Let's talk about some offshore, bub.
Yeah, offshore fishing. Snapper fishing's been great, and state waters is open right now. So it's been open since September 4th. So it's back to 7 days a week. So we're back on full 7 days a week. Federal waters is closed, so if y'all got any questions on this stuff, you can just go ahead and give me a call or email me. And blackfin tuna are good around the deep shrimp boats still. They're holding up pretty good out there, and there's some Dorado mix in there with them. So heading over to Snapper, like I said, it is open. I got people asking us all the time. It is open in the state. You get 4 per person per day. And then it's solid out there. Use some squid, Spanish sardines, any fresh bait you can get available. Lots of times the shrimp boats, we got some here that can migrate baits. If they go out today, we'll keep it fresh and ice for a few days, so you can use that stuff. It works great. Use a double rig with like a 13-ounce VMC circle hook and about a 5 to 8 ounce bank weight with probably like a 150 pound leader. Works great when you're bottom dropping like that with the bait. And then if you get some calmer days, free line some squid or sardines on that stuff, and just do that by tying direct to your, like if you got 25-pound mono, main or floor, just tie direct to it and just free line it out there steady when the fish hits. Let them run 5 seconds, take 20, 30 foot line. And just click it over and just kind of slowly set the hook. Don't try to set it real hard.
Tell me about the blackfins, Chad.
Yep, blackfin they're heading deep on the shrimp boats. They're still there. There's plenty of action. And use some Rapala divers, cedar plugs, throw them about 7 to 8 knots. And then if they get anchored up later in the day and you see those tuna down deeper, just go ahead and get some flutter jigs and drop those jigs down through the bait balls and get them up, and it'll be a lot better. Got a picture of a blackfin tuna there. That guy caught there. You can see an AFCO gap stuck in him, really nice.
Well, it sounds like you guys got it going on in the Lower Coast region. Thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead and take a look at the hot spots. Our guide Chad said that we want to go inshore. Trout and redfish are biting, caught in 3 to 5 feet of water near the grass beds and sand pockets south of South Padre and the North Land Cut. Redfish are showing up in the grass flats around the Saucer and Green Island out of Port Mansfield. Then offshore, snappers and blackfins are fishing good in the state waters. Remember that it opens for September 4th for 7 days. The blackfin tuners are going to be good around all those shrimp boats, just like you talked about, with a few Dorados mixed in, Bree.
Very nice. Well, there you have it, guys. I'm so glad that everywhere is kind of, you know, coming back. Everyone out there is doing a great job helping. And
absolutely.
So we're very happy about that. We hope you guys have an amazing weekend fishing. And good show,
Keep
guys.
your head up, guys. Thanks for watching. Hang tough.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.